Moving to Idaho seems to be all the rage these days, and really, who can resist the cheap taxes and gorgeous mountains? But there's some big deterrents that have had people reconsider their move to the gem state. Let's see what those are. Before we get started, my name is Isaac Crace. I'm a third-generation realtor here in the Boise, Idaho area. So if you or anyone you know is thinking about making the move to the Boise, Idaho area, hit me up. Let's have a chat and see if Boise is going to be the right fit for you. Thank you for tuning in to this week's video, and you are in for a good one because I'm going to be switching gears a little bit. Typically, I come on here and I tell you why Idaho is such a great place and why you're going to love it here. But there's quite a few people who don't find it as amazing as I do, and an unfortunate few that moved here before figuring out that Idaho really isn't the right fit. So that's what inspired this video. I want to come on here and tell you the top 10 reasons that people don't like Idaho to save you the headache of finding out the hard way. So let's figure out what they are. The number one reason that people don't like the Boise, Idaho area is the weather, and for a few different reasons. The biggest one is going to be the winters. Now, the winters that we have here in the Boise area are actually some of the nicest in the state. But still, with that said, it can get pretty cold, and it's not uncommon for it to go below 0 degrees in the middle of the winter. But it still has the possibility to stay kind of cold and gloomy for up to 6 to 8 months out of the year. For instance, we are in the first week of May, and we're going to have quite a few days in the high 30s and 40s. So you can go quite a while without seeing the sun, which does start to get to you a little bit. So like myself, I always take a vitamin D supplement. If you're sensitive to that kind of thing, you might not like it here. The second thing about the weather is going to be the summers. We get really hot, dry summers here. Now, it's nothing compared to Arizona, but like last year, for instance, we had a couple weeks that were over 100 degrees. Some years we don't. Some years we don't have any days that are over 100 degrees, and some years we only have a couple days. But for the most part, you can typically expect it to be over 100 degrees in the heat of the summer. Now, I should say we don't get a whole lot of rain in the summer either, so it gets really dry. It's actually really dry year-round here, especially in the winter. So if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, your skin is going to get really dry and cracked. You're going to want to keep lotion on. You get your chapstick. In fact, in the winter times here, we actually run humidifiers in our house, or else you'll get bloody nose if that's the kind of thing that you get from dry weather. The next thing is going to be the fires in the summer. Now, we don't actually have a whole lot of fires in Idaho because we have good fire management, but we have a lot of smoke that blows in from other states, which we aren't going to name, Oregon, Washington, with not as great fire management. But regardless, the smoke does drift in here, and it can get trapped in here for quite a while at a time. So it gets hazy some summers, but just like the heat, it really depends on the year. Some years it's not that bad at all, but some years it does get pretty irritating. The second biggest reason that people don't like it here in Idaho is the politics. Idaho is a very red state, and it has been that way for a while. In fact, it is one of the most conservative states in the whole nation. In fact, in the last presidential election, Idaho voted overwhelmingly for the conservative candidate. And it's not simply superficial either. Conservative values are woven into every single aspect of life. So if that's something that you're not really a fan of, Idaho really isn't going to be the right fit for you. The third reason that you may not like Idaho goes hand in hand with the last one. Idahoans, we love our guns, and we love the Second Amendment. We have the fourth highest gun ownership in the entire nation. About 60% of Idahoans own a firearm. I myself used to own many, but unfortunately I lost them all in a boating accident. We have laws in place that prevent the harassment of people with firearms, for instance, in hunting. If somebody is out lawfully engaged in hunting and you're going and harassing them, Fish and Game or the sheriff is going to show up and they're going to give you a ticket. So if that's something that makes you feel a little bit uneasy, Idaho might not be the state for you. Fourth reason that Idaho might not be the best fit for you is the cost of living. In earlier years, Idaho used to be very affordable, but in recent years, especially with all the growth, it has become completely unaffordable for locals. For instance, at the time of making this video, the median asking price for a home in Ada County is just over $500,000, $575,000, while the median household income, not personal income, household income in Idaho is $55,000, and we still have a $7.25 minimum wage. So people who live here and have lived here for generations are getting pushed out because they simply can't afford it. Used to be quite affordable, but not anymore. For many, it may still be cheaper to move here than where you are moving from, but for locals, it is completely unaffordable. Couple that with the low wages and the record inflation, it's not a good situation, so you may want to reconsider a move to the state. The fifth reason that you may not like Idaho is it's not very diverse. I'm not going to go super in depth on this subject, but I will have information down below that you can go check out those links. But Idaho in general is one of the least diverse states in the entire nation. Now, with the influx of people that we're having in the last few years, it is becoming ever so slightly more diverse, but it is still one of the least diverse states in the entire nation. The sixth reason that Idaho may not be the state for you is the wild animals. And I'm not talking about the cute fluffy ones. I'm talking about the big ones with teeth, like bears, mountain lions, wolves, coyotes, and multiple others. As a general rule of thumb, these animals don't want an interaction with you as much as you don't want an interaction with them. But in Idaho, as we do go outdoors quite often, we do go into their territory, so there are some precautions that you need to take to minimize the chances of an interaction. I always recommend that you carry a firearm, especially if you go into bear country, because like I said, we do have black bears and we do have a growing grizzly bear population. If you aren't comfortable with carrying a firearm, at bare minimum, yes, pun intended, bare minimum, I would recommend carrying bear spray. But even with all this stuff, it really comes down to common sense. I've lived here my entire life and I am an avid outdoorsman, and I can only count a couple times on my hand where I've ever had an issue, and it's never come down to the wire on having to deal with it. Just use common sense, especially if you go hiking in the foothills a lot. People love to go hiking in the foothills and they just consider it like a city park, and it's not. There's coyotes and mountain lions in the foothills. So it's just something that you need to be aware of and take into consideration, that you are in their territory and you need to respect them. So if that's something that makes you a little uneasy, Idaho may not be the place for you. The seventh reason that you may not like Idaho is the schooling. Even though our K through 12 schooling has been increasing very greatly, in fact, we are fifth nationwide for our increasing K through 12 education level, we're still ranked at 40th in the nation with a C- rating. Plus, here's a big one for many that are moving into the state. Idaho has banned CRT, or critical race theory. So if that is something that you're looking for, you're not going to find it here in Idaho. The eighth reason that you may not like it here in Idaho is we are very isolated. The next biggest city to us is probably going to be Salt Lake, which is 5 to 6 hours from Boise. So if you like getting in your car and driving an hour or so to the next town or whatever, I don't know, because driving to Salt Lake is going to be the closest town that I've ever driven to that is the next biggest city. Plus, our Boise airport is very small. It is not an international airport. So if you're going on big flights, you're probably going to have to fly to catch another flight in another airport. So you're going to connect in like SLC or SeaTac, but you're not going to be able to fly directly out of Boise or vice versa. Big airplanes can't go into Boise because the airport isn't very big. The ninth reason that you may not like Idaho is the public transportation, or lack thereof. We don't really have a whole lot of public transportation. We do have a few buses that run, but they'll only take you and drop you off in like the center of a city from one city to the next. But still, that's not going to take you exactly where you need. And we do have some Uber, Lyft, taxis, that kind of stuff, but there are not a whole lot. So if public transportation is something that you're looking for, you're not really going to find it here in the Boise area. Having a car is pretty non-negotiable, especially because of how far apart everything is spread. I mean, for instance, one block here, for the most part, is going to be about a mile. So if you're going 4 or 5 blocks, that's a long ways just to walk or even bicycle. So having a car is pretty much non-negotiable here in the Boise area. The 10th reason that you may not like it here in Idaho is it's kind of boring, to be honest. If you're not really into going outdoors and doing that kind of thing, there's not a whole lot of entertainment-wise, like going to an opera or going and watching a play. Now, we do have some amateurs, but it's nothing like Broadway quality. So like I said, if you're not going, pretty much all you have to do is go outdoors and hang out and do something outdoors. Go catch a movie maybe, go out and eat or go to a bar. But as for big city activities, there's really not a whole lot. So, did I scare you away from Idaho yet? Or did I make you want to come to Idaho even more? Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Idaho, if those are pros for yourself or cons for yourself. If you like this video, you might find this one interesting or this playlist. And until next time, I'm Isaac Crace with Top Idaho Real Estate, your third generation Idaho Realtor.